Homicide detectives in Ohio have a new breakthrough in a murder case that has baffled them for 35 years.
And they're giving credit to innovative CSI techniques developed by a company in Salt Lake City. Science and nature specialist John Hollenhorst traveled to southwestern Ohio to explore the unsolved murder, and he's back with us here tonight. John?
Well, this 1981 case has no obvious connection to Utah. The frustration all along for Ohio detectives is they have no idea who the young woman was or where she came from. But now a breakthrough in a Utah laboratory, thanks to the astonishing fact that her hair contains a detailed record of her travels just before she was brutally murdered. They buried her in Troy, Ohio in 1981 under the sadly generic name Jane Doe.
She looked like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. She had those long braids.
The cemetery caretaker told two detectives she's been waiting a long time for answers.
I've been here 23 years, and it's my greatest wish that Jane gets to go home.
One of the pallbearers 35 years ago was the detective originally assigned to the case, Bob Schweitzer. Now he runs the property room where the meager evidence has been stored for 35 years.
When you can't identify who the person is, you have no place to start the investigation.
Her distinctive clothing has always been viewed as a possible clue.
The news media called her the buckskin girl because of this coat.
It was the buckskin coat that caught the attention of farmer Greg Breidenbaugh. Way back in 1981, he spotted it alongside this rural road as he rode past with friends.
Said one of my guys, I said, you know, I'd like to have that. Lo and behold, there was somebody in it.
The coat was on Jane Doe's lifeless body. She'd been viciously beaten and strangled by someone unknown.
She was dumped there. Killed somewhere else and dumped there.
Somebody knows something.
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody's got a secret.
Ben Garbig and Steve Hickey are the latest in a long line of Ohio detectives who've tried over the years to crack the case.
As of right now, in this file, there are no leads.
All these years, the investigators have kept a sample of Jane Doe's hair. Now they've sent it to Salt Lake City, hoping it could lead to the breakthrough they've been begging for.
And when you've hit a dead end, anything can help.
The Utah company, Isoforensics, spent the last month analyzing the hair, looking for molecular clues called isotopes.
In isotopes, it's the neutrons that's different.
If you've forgotten your high school chemistry, isotopes are variant forms of common elements such as hydrogen and oxygen with extra neutrons added in.
You are what you eat and drink isotopically.
Every day that our fingernails and hair are growing, they're preserving a record.
You're a giant tape recorder, you're walking around, and all of your tissues in your body is recording what you ate and drank.
Isoforensics has collected data and developed maps that show distinctive regional patterns of isotope ratios in drinking water. That helped identify victims in some previous cases. The company linked the hair of a Utah murder victim, nicknamed Saltaire Sally, to drinking water in the Pacific Northwest. She turned out to be a young Seattle mother, Nikki Bacolas.
The crime itself is unsolved. How she ended up at Saltaire is unsolved.
In a California case, hair analysis connected an unidentified victim to San Francisco's drinking water. She was later identified as Mary Alice Willey. In Ohio, a breakthrough could resolve the 35-year-old mystery of Jane Doe.
She's connected to a family, so we need to get her back to her family, whoever that is.
Now the Utah results are in. Oxygen isotopes in her hair reflect her drinking water in the last 12 months of her life.
And we see that there are some patterns in this data, and that suggests that she did move quite a bit.
But one region stands out like a bullseye: North Texas and southern Oklahoma.
That's the only region in the United States that tap waters correspond to those isotope values in her hair.
Jane Doe evidently visited that region twice in her last year for at least 2 months each time. Did she live there or have acquaintances there? The new evidence supports an earlier finding. Pollen on the buckskin jacket suggests she'd been in Mexico or a southwestern state such as Texas.
Once we identify her, then we can start a victimology, and then we can possibly look for a suspect who caused her death.
You know, it's time for closure, and I believe they're probably going to solve it here pretty soon.
The Ohio detectives will now work with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to rev up some publicity in North Texas. The hope is that it'll jog someone's memory and crack the case wide open.